Put your faith in the light.
Hello guys, welcome to another one of my videos. This is Lightblade, and well, I haven't done one of these in a very long while. So I'm gonna do a full commentary video on a Nokhud 14 that I had last night. It was a pretty interesting key. Everyone was doing their job, but there was a moment in the key that the tank was just doing some really crazy overpulls, which were not ideal, and sometimes you can save your key by doing what I did, you just say pull smaller. We can time the key. The key is already timed. We just have to pull smaller and survive and get to the end boss and finish the key. So yeah, this is, like the title says, a lesson in restraint. As for talents, this is my current setup, so it's also pretty different of what other Retribution paladins use. Instead of Vengeful Wrath, I normally use Divine Purpose. The logic is that Vengeful Wrath gives you 100% critical strike on Hammer Wrath, but we currently have like around, well, at least I have 35% critical strike, and on top of that I have wings. That means that I have like 55% critical strike already, so the value of Vengeful Wrath is going to be kind of halved. Instead of that, Divine Purpose I think is a pretty good option. Even though it's kinda underpowered, I like that it works in both single target and AoE situations. It's also a really fun talent to play with. Procs are always fun. Sometimes you can get a proc out of the proc, and that makes for nice gameplay. On the Retribution side of the talent tree, I also don't do the same thing as other Retribution paladins. I like to keep myself a bit more original, and the setup is pretty good because it gives you a good balance in between single target and AoE damage. For this key, I'm going to be using Searing Light instead of Seething Flames because I'm expecting some big pulls, and I want to keep my normal Wake of Ashes as uncapped AoE damage, which is going to be pretty important. And Searing Light is also giving us extra source of pseudo uncapped AoE damage because it's reduced after 8 targets instead of like 5 targets like most of our other things. Like AoE Blade of Justice is reduced after 5, and Divine Storm is also reduced after 5. So yeah, that's most of our changes. I'm going to leave the talents of this run in the description of the video if you want to copy them. Anyways, with that being said, let's go into the video. Okay guys, so we're stepping right into the action here. We're gonna do a big pull at the start. We have like the 2 meta classes of the patch, like Lock and Shadow Priest. This is one specifically like a Destruction Warlock. They do incredibly good in AoE pulls because they have uncapped AoE. We're just gonna pop our bubble and just do as much damage as we can. These mobs are very tricky to deal with because they have a lot of like AoE effects that buff each other. Also, there's Bolstering this week, which is not good for our Cloth friends. You kind of see that they're going to be like dying pretty often. But the tank really insisted on doing huge pulls. I think we could have timed this key just doing normal pulls, like 5 at a time. But well, whatever. We survived that because we used our bob, we used our bubble, we used everything that we have just to finish up the pull. And you can see that the uncapped AoE classes are doing a ton of damage. We're still doing a pretty respectable 1.3 million damage, but still, they just do a lot. And I think the Lock's waiting for a B-res, but I'm just not gonna do it because, well, there's only one mob left, so I think it's just better to just res him as normal. So this is going to be the thing of dungeon. The tank is going to be doing like very huge pulls at the start, and he's going to be doing like a lot of pulls, like big pulls, even after that. He's seeing the group that's kind of struggling. We're kind of dying to a lot of things, but you're gonna see at some point that I'm going to say something, but let's get to there first. So gonna do another pull here and just dodge the big circle. I think our priest dies there, just got shot, or maybe he just got aggro of the mobs. We're going to try our best to survive, do the best damage that we can, just pop our cooldowns, get good procs of called the Chaos Trinket there. It's up on our first on our opening rotation, which is good. You at least had it for a few seconds. We gotta heal ourselves a lot in this pull. We're going to get pelted by a lot of those shots that normally goes into mostly ranged players. Kick the Disrupting Shouts. These pulls are extremely dangerous, especially this week because it's Bolstering. Some of the stuff is going to die, it's going to get buffs from the Bolstering. They also get buffs from themselves. I'm going to blind there, so some of those buffs don't go out to most of the mobs. Anyways, I think the pull is fine, but it's pretty rough if someone dies. especially if you're counting on those like uncapped AoE classes to do their damage. Anyways, as Reds, we survive it, and we just do the damage that is needed to be done. So, what do I think about big pulls? I like big pulls. We're Red Palace. We have pretty good sources of uncapped AoE. We can have like Searing Light that does like reduce damage after 8, and these pulls, like you can see, are mostly like 10 targets, so we're doing almost full damage on that department. The thing that is going to reduce the most is our Divine Storm, which it does damage after 5, and it's going to be getting reduced a bit. Since I'm taking like normal Wake of Ashes, that thing is also like uncapped. So yeah, we're doing pretty decent damage in these types of pulls. Okay, now we're going to do some small stuff just to get to the boss, you know. We're gonna do this next pack. This is a 5 pull. We've lost like 5 people already. Like mostly Locke and Priest are getting like pelted by these shots and stuff. By the way, the legendary weapon on use is not super important in most situations. I like to use it normally after I use my Paladin cooldowns, because I do have Frostfire Legworks of preparation, so I'd rather just start the pull with my cooldowns, use all that haste to just inflict as much damage as possible with my wings and everything I have, you know. Sometimes I do use it at the start when I don't have my cooldowns ready, but still, I think it's better to just throw your cooldowns first and then finish off some mobs with a weapon. Also, you have to look at the perfect timing so you don't kill yourself with the weapon. It has happened to me a lot, you know, just use the weapon 2 seconds is pretty rough sometimes. There's a lot of swirly effects and these Dragonflight keys. As you can see, I'm like bobbing in and out here. I'm really worried if this Demon Hunter is going to like turn around and just kill me with the cleave of that big mob. Anyways, we kill all the ballista packs and we're going to go to this one now. This is a small pack. So I wasn't expecting this route when I joined this group. This route was pretty unique. We did take a ton of risks, by the way. This was a very, very risky route to do. You're gonna see at the end of the dungeon why I say that. Anyways, we finished up these small mobs. Doesn't really matter too much. These are very inconsequential mobs. They do like shots and all those things, but not a big problem. As soon as we finish these, we're going to go to the boss, and we do the boss in a very peculiar manner. You're gonna see why. You know, there's a lot of CC going around. I'm not used to this. Normally I just kill the ad that this boss spawns, you know, because that's the normal thing to do. But these guys like do weird stuff. I'm not gonna say it's wrong, but pretty interesting stuff. So I'm gonna stun this guy because my stun is the longest duration one, and it gets mind controlled. I'm gonna at that point I'm gonna say that I'm a bit worried. Okay, we can keep the thing mind control, maybe it's fine. We gotta kill the next one, so we can see the ad is there like just running around doing nothing. We use our cooldowns. Retribution Paladin single target is not the best single target, you know, at the start. We do catch up eventually using more rotations, but still. Let's try to do a rotation there and kill this boss. You're gonna see that there's going to be a lot more CC. So the next ad is going to spawn. It's going to run to, yeah, there's the Hunter's Demon Cage. So he's going to CC that thing. We're not going to kill it, so I try to not be close to it so I don't cleave it. But we have another ad, so this one I stun again, and we have to kill it, right? I think I'm the only person hitting it. I think these guys were on a Discord call, so they weren't hitting things, because this ad was dying super slowly. Eventually they start hitting it, and I say, okay, I have to finish this ad so it doesn't like disrupt our boss kill. So I just keep hitting the ad, you know. It dies and we keep going on the boss. There's another ad, so that we have another one here. We have to kill this thing, I think. So I just pop cooldowns on top of it and just cleave boss with ad. I think it's going fine. Boss is almost dead. No, I think we can fail this boss by now. I just leave that last one go, you know. I think that was the ad that was mind controlled. I think if you do it like this way, if you get the timings right and you don't get the mantles on the ballistas, you can kind of just CC them and focus most of your damage on boss. Anyways, at the end of this fight, we catch up to everyone else. You know, we are doing 280k single target DPS, which is not really high. You know, it's just pretty standard retribution balance. Our build is not focused on single target. We're mostly AoE based. Anyways, the boss is dead, and now we're going to the part where I will show you guys that's what's a lesson in restraint. So by this time, we have gained a ton of extra time by doing those huge pulls at the start. So we're on a very clear course to just timing the dungeon. But we're going to be taking a lot of very unnecessary risks, I think. But I think they pay off at the end. So the tank is going to pull this pack. I'm expecting him to just pull the pack on the totem, you know, those like 6 mobs. But he does something that I wasn't expecting really. He pulls the things on the right as well. And we're gonna pull it like raw, no lust, no anything. I'm trying to kick most of the things that I can, you know. That moon target is the most important thing, because that's going to one-shot you. Here I take some balls to get some extra damage. The lock dies immediately, which is not ideal, and the priest is taking a ton of damage. So I'm focusing down on the moon target, you know. I want to kick as many of those bolt casts that I can. The lock comes back as he's flying, but it is just too many mobs to deal with, you know. We're doing some AoE CCs and all those kind of things, but still, it's a very rough pull to do. I think it's not... I wouldn't do this pull. If we had so much time, I think this is the moment to show some restraint in what you're doing. You know, we have a lot of time. We can just pull this like pack to pack. We have a red pally. Red pallies excel on pulling stuff pack to pack. I'm trying to survive here and kill as many things as possible before I go down. But eventually we do go down. And I was thinking people are going to leave maybe. But I do have faith. We have 29 minutes on that timer, and that's a lot of time to do this key. So if you kind of know the duration of boss fights and your personal damage, you are going to, you can say things like that, you know, we got a lot of time, we can do chill pulls. And I think the tank actually hurt me here, because he starts to do some like not crazy stuff. And I'm really grateful because of that, because this was my key. I put it up there to do it. So we're gonna just do normal pulls, you know, like the 5 mobs pulls and trying to kick whatever we can. You're gonna see me a lot focusing on that moon mob. That's your most big focus on this place, because that one is going to one-shot you. Also, that thing is the mob that has the most health. And you want to kill the big mobs whenever it's bolstering. You don't want to get that thing like with high bolster stacks. So I'm going to focus that and just do our normal paladin rotation. You're gonna see a lot of times that I have my weapon, like my legendary weapon, still there. You know, I sometimes forget to use it. Yeah, I do forget sometimes. It's because I'm mostly used to paladin abilities doing more damage, not the legendary weapon like active and all those things. So I say, okay, things are dying, maybe I just use the next pull, and I think that's the better call. It does a ton of damage, but I just don't like how it works. Anyways, we're finishing this pack, kicking any stormbolts we have. The lock is doing a good job casting Curse of Tongues on the big mob, so we touch something or we get bolted and we die. Healer also dies. I think we're still fine. I have faith in the group and I just keep going. It doesn't matter if we die there. If we keep pulling like pack to pack, I'm confident that our damage will just keep us through. I think stepping on that little totem thing killed me. I'm not really sure. There probably is like one bolt that hit me as well, because things were getting bolstered at the point, you know. I don't know, I hate bolstering. It's just a very annoying affix, even after all the nerfs, and it no longer like increases the health of mobs. It's just so dangerous. You have to like be on your toes on the damage department of the mobs. You gotta use your damage reduction, shield of vengeance, and all those things. So we're gonna keep pulling like pack to pack here. He is going to pull the little mobs that like pad here, but we have a blood elf, so we can just remove the shield and one-shot them. As you can see, for my Blessing of Freedom, I don't really do it like immediately when I get the Entangling. I just keep doing my rotational abilities to where I see like an opening, where I don't have a global to use, and then I just Freedom myself. You know, obviously use it before if you feel that you're going to get stunned by the Entangling, but for the most part I use it only that way. If not, I'm just going to like run away from the Entangling, you know, I'm not gonna waste the global cooldown. Anyways, we kill this pack. It's pretty simple, you know, it's just 5 pack. We do the big damage. Actually, we're not on top, but still have our weapon. As you can see, I forget to use that thing a lot, but it doesn't really matter too much. The most of the damage that the weapon inflicts is from the passive, like just AoE. The active is good, mostly used on bosses, I think, is the big part. Especially on some of the bosses here. This one, the elemental one, takes like extra damage from whenever you get 10 of the orbs, so it's a good moment to use there. But first, let's take these packs. So if you see the Stormbolt on you and the cast is going to go off, please use a cooldown, a defensive one, you know, bubble if you're like panicking or if it got too many bolster stacks. I use their Shield of Vengeance and survive. Anyways, we just keep killing these mobs. And we're going to go after that to the last totem. I'm not going to go close to that like crap on the ground again because I died last time. And yeah, we finish off this pack and we're going to go to the last totem. So those arc slash, you gotta be careful with that. I was being a bit reckless there. So I got hit by it. It's a frontal like cleave effect. Luckily I didn't die even though the mob was kind of bolstered. Finish up this last totem pack. Always focus down the big mob, you know, just focus it down, kill it as fast as you can. Don't want to get that thing bolstered. Gonna get one of the orbs here. Actually I didn't even touch it, you know, but the idea was get that orb and do extra damage. There's a bit of a coordination problem here. We are kicking stuff when our group is also kicking stuff, so some of those Stormbolts are going to go off. But like I said before, if the Stormbolt is on you, try to use the defensive if you don't have like your kick. The Curse of Tongues helps a ton here from the lock. These Stormbolts are going like very slowly. I think one melee can handle them, but we're like overlapping cooldowns and kicks and all those kinds of things. And this is now, after this pack, another one of the big risks that they were taking. We're not going to kill the path that is behind the boss, you know, that Kodo pack that is normally like padding around. We're just going to go to the boss, you know. I was thinking, okay, we're going to kill the pack, but no, the tank just goes in. So that's some non-verbal communication. We have to like just be inside of the boss pit. We can't go too far. If the orbs spawn, we gotta wait them to come to us, unless we can like get them fast and go back to the middle. So we do that, we get 2 stacks of the orbs when we start doing damage. I'm gonna save my weapon for when I have more stacks because it's going to do a ton of damage, especially if it crits. The last part is pretty effective. So I'm gonna let that last orb reach, go a bit closer, so I gather it. I'm going to soak as many as I can. I have 5 stacks. I see the healer is not taking orbs, so I think I'm free to just take them, you know. So normally some healers will try to take us 10 orbs to heal this place, but this guy's just doing fine without them, so he's not doing an effort to take them. I'm just going to do it. So we take a ton of damage from that hit, just lay on ourselves and keep doing damage. We used our weapon when we had full stacks, so it did a pretty decent amount of damage. You're gonna see here that we're one of the DPS that's maintaining most of their like damage stacks. So eventually we're going to overtake the single target fight, even though we're not like single target focused on this. Let's keep doing damage, try to do your rotation as best as you can, from far away sometimes, from close if you need to. That Kodo pack is like all the time in my mind. I'm saying maybe someone's going to pull it and then this key is doomed. Luckily everyone is playing pretty well, you know, we're just not getting close to that pack, and so we're not doing like any ninja pulls or anything like that. Boss is dying, we're doing 300k single target DPS, which is not really high to be honest. It's mostly we could maintain our 10 stacks for the whole of the fight, and here, because our build is not focused on like single target. We see also that the healer is not trying to take any stacks. I think that's a mistake. I think he should take like a few stacks of the damage. We rest the guy that died, I think it was the lock. The Astro Lock doesn't seem too hot for single target damage. They do a ton of uncapped AoE, but they're not doing so hot in single target. Doesn't matter, we have this under control. Boss is at 24% health. Just take as many of these balls as we can. People are not moving too much to take them, you know. I'm the guy that's doing it more proactively, I think. The caster is just casting, they're waiting the balls to be close. Get some occultic chaos procs, that's always good to see when you have like full procs of your... full stacks of your lightning debuff. Could use my weapon here to finish it, but we get this lightning thing on top of us. So we use our weapon to finish it. It's gonna do a ton of damage. It did 1.5 million damage on the last hit because it crit. So huge damage there. But remember, try to use your weapon on this boss if you have like the 10 stacks. It's just going to be better. Anyways, we're going to the next part, the undead part of this dungeon. So here I think we can just finish the key if we play back to back. The tank is going to still do some like pretty dangerous pulls, I think, but I think the most dangerous part of the dungeon has already passed. And I think I did save this place, this run, by saying, okay, we can pull smaller and we can still time it, you know. So I think that is the lesson in Restraint in this place. Anyways, these mobs are pretty dangerous, especially after what Blizzard did to the little bird thingies, you know. The birds now do a cast that has to be interrupted or stopped. That does AoE ticket damage on everyone. They no longer do that frontal hit that you could just dodge, you know, just do a sidestep. So we gotta be careful about that, but we also have to watch these guys that do like the Death Bolt volley, because those guys get bolstered and a volley happens, everyone dies. But not only that, there's the guys that steal your soul, and that also, if it gets bolstered, is going to kill the group, and you're going to see that happen a bit here. Anyways, we have a ton of AoE damage. Like we're a Red Pally, we're a Shadow Priest, we're a Destro Lock, so those are like meta classes. I think Red's not meta, but we're pretty strong at doing AoE. Anyways, we kill everything here. Shatter Soul is going to happen, and as you see, everyone is dead. We use a small defensive there. Our Shield of Vengeance keeps us alive, and we can finish up the pull and res the people. I think if I didn't survive there, the key was kind of doomed. Because it was going to take a lot of time to res everyone, you know, come back from the start of the dungeon, get here, res them, and we lose a lot of time. But I survived, so I can res people. And I say, bolstering is fun, because it is not fun. You can sometimes die out of nowhere. Anyways, I see the timer, 17 minutes, that's more than enough to do this place. Bosses take like 2.5 minutes at max, these like last two bosses. So we have like 12 minutes to clear all this trash. And we're going to do something very risky at the end also, you're going to see that. So I always wait for the tank to get aggro. Like you have to do that. And also you have to wait for the mobs to be close together. Because Retribution Paladins have that. We have Final Reckoning, which you have to hit everything in the pack to make it have value. So I always try to get more... I always try to like wait for mobs to be close to use it. We lose our healer there. We lose our... everyone's taking a ton of damage. I think we had a ninja pull. I res the healer and just run to save my life, hoping that he doesn't take it immediately because he was going to blow up. Tank is dying. He's surviving. I blind there to stop some of the death bolts. After that, the tank does a nice silence, so he doesn't insta pop because of the death bolts. We just dodge and weave as best as we can and do damage. You know, there are so many ground effects. There are so many swirlies. We're lucky that we can do damage at far. You know, I take like a leap of faith there and just use my weapon to do as much damage as I can. I know even if I die, they can finish off the pack. So I take a bolt to the face and I just die. But still, they can finish off this, and I'm going to release and just fly back and keep doing the key. I know the bosses only last 5 minutes, so we got 2 bosses left. That's 5 minutes. We got 10 minutes to do all the trash. we are a-okay. I think the lock is like kind of gave up, you know. He's staying dead, he's not flying. He could have gone back, I think, by the time he died first. I know he died after me. I think he could have come back anyways, because I get here and everything is dead. So some people I think are losing faith a bit, but I know 50 minutes is more than enough to do this place. But there's the group, and we're gonna rest the lock. Never mind, someone else is going to rest the lock. Gonna do some more trash packs here. We're going to be doing some bigger pulls, but these are not as dangerous as the ones at the start. As long as we control the baldy, I think we're fine. These deadbolts normally just go on tank, and this tank is pretty good. He survives most of them. I do a blinding light there to stop some of the casts. Just do our normal rotation. Even though it might seem dangerous, a lot of these ground effects have like a delay on them, so you can like play Russian roulette sometimes with them and move at the last second instead of moving immediately. Still, we want to play it with caution. Those birds are kind of annoying. I kind of wish they didn't change the ability, you know. If it was a frontal, people could just sidestep. Now you have to actually kick them or use a stop. Doesn't really matter too much to us because we have Wake of Ashes, so we can like stun them at the start and then 30 seconds after again. And hopefully someone like fills in the gaps. Anyways, we finish up this pack and we're going to do a few more. We want to get all of our trash in this area because you're going to see at the end that we're going to be doing something risky to kill the last boss. Okay, we're done with that, and we have one more of the main ads to kill so we can summon boss. Then we're going to like just kill extra packs to get our count. By the way, when you see that like big green circle, don't run away from it immediately. You can still do your abilities. It has a really long cast time. Doesn't really matter. The good thing about this group, if we had like a pretty decent like CC chains and all those things, we're just using blinding light. They're using like their AoE CCs, and mobs are not casting pretty often. I myself am focusing more on the primary mob, like that ball to baldy, because I have the shorter cooldown kick, so I'm the person that has to do it for the most part. I think I have it here at the last second. That could have been deadly because that thing hurts a lot. Yeah, I think it wasn't actually deadly. The thing wasn't bolstered, but still. We killed this last pack, and now we have to get some counts. So we have to get 15% count somewhere in this dungeon, or somewhere in this part of the dungeon. And the tank has a plan. We're going to kill the dogs. So the dog packs are a bit annoying because you can't no longer stop the big ad to summon more dogs. So we're going to do a bit of a risky pull here. We're going to do this 2-pack. Actually, no. I think he thought it, you know, and he said maybe we shouldn't do like the triple pack because he was signaling it. But yeah, I think this was the correct decision. Just learn to restrain yourself, you know, just do the safe packs. We have 11 minutes. Like I said, these bosses are 5-minute max, both of them combined, you know, not each. So yeah, we could just do this. I bop myself because I don't want to die if I'm doing my burst damage. Sometimes it happens that you just overtake aggro. And I just keep doing my rotation as normal. We're gonna bolster some of these mobs a lot, but as long as you don't stand in the swirlies, you should be perfectly fine. Swirlies are the name of the game in Dragonflight dungeons. There's a ton of them. Blizzard like loves their swirlies. So we're gonna take another leap of faith there and just use our weapon. Luckily nothing killed us, which is pretty good. Anyways, we're still using our CCs and all those kinds of things. You can see my blinding light is mostly on cooldown. I'm just throwing it there to stop some casts. And this is the annoying part. We have to care of the dogs. You see me there like not cast some things while the dogs spawn, because you don't want to get insta-gipped if the tank doesn't have aggro by these. They do hurt a lot if you're like the first person hitting them, so just be mindful of that if you're doing Nokhud and your tank is pulling these packs of dogs. They can spawn at any moment, and well, you might die if you're like too eager to do damage to them. Anyways, gonna finish up this, and I think this is going to give us our full count. I use my final reckoning there. Searing Light hits all the mobs, which is pretty good. This is just the perfect number of mobs for a Searing Light. I think it's almost 8 targets. Yeah, I think it's 8 targets, so it's doing full damage. And then we just do our normal Paladin rotation. This should be the last pack before we do the next boss. Next boss is fairly annoying for most melee classes because, well, it moves around a lot, you know, and you have to save your mobility to also dodge some stuff. But we're going to do it pretty fine. You're gonna see it when we get there. Anyways, this pack is almost dead. Retribution Paladin excels at doing like pack-to-pack pulls. We can do pretty good AoE damage on huge pulls as well, but we're not on uncapped spec. Everything we do is reduced after 5 targets for the most part, because that's Divine Storm. And like if we take some extra tools like Searing Light and like uncapped a Wake of Ashes, we can do decent damage, but we're not an uncapped AoE class, so we excel, like I said, 5 target pulls and all those kinds of things. I know we have the timer to finish this key, so I'm just chilling, you know. I think we actually missed the pack and we just pulled it here. Probably the tank wanted to do like a double or something, but we have enough time to do this. I have my weapon ready. Like I said, I always forget to use that thing. It's there, like it's staring me directly, you know. I made a weak aura because of that, but sometimes I forget to use it, and well, doesn't really matter too much. Most of the damage that the weapon does is the passive. The active is more like a cherry on top. Finish up these 2 mobs. Someone already did the RP for the boss, so we can just go there and start at the boss fight. 8 minutes, like I said. We need 5 minutes to do these last 2 bosses, so we should be perfectly fine here. I'm gonna use my weapon on these 2 guys since it's been on cooldown for so long. Off cooldown, I mean. And this is the main reason these bosses are kind of hated by melee players. They just jump around a lot. Annoying. But as Red Paladins, we do have a ton of like extra range, so I'm gonna stack with the tank here for these gales. Just dodge the tornadoes that the range are throwing to us. It's kind of sketchy, you know, because those tornadoes from range can hit you if you're not watching carefully. Gonna keep hitting the bosses, trying to do our best to hit from afar. I'm not gonna use my horse here. I'm gonna use it in the to dodge stuff, you know. It's such a good thing that Reds has like range to do damage to these mobs that are annoying to deal with. Our damage is pretty respectable here, all things considered, because these mobs like move a lot. We're gonna pop our cooldowns while they're like together to get as much value as we can from them. Gonna stack with tank for the gales and watch where the range are. Try to normally use a defensive there, because those do hurt a lot. I didn't have anything there, I just took it like raw, but that's mostly because we're Red Paladins. We have like innate avoidance, and I also have like I think 10% avoidance from my items, so I'm pretty safe on just not using a cooldown. But if you don't have that, probably pop something. Bosses are almost dead, like 26%. And we're catching up in the damage department, you know, even though this fight is super annoying for for melee players. By the way, don't step on those like ground effects. Even if you like step for 1 second, like for a half a second, you're gonna get a nasty dot that is going to kill you. So yeah, don't try to like horse over them. I'll use our weapon here just to get it on cooldown and get some value of it, because the 2 mobs are together. Stack to the tank again. Use a small defensive, especially if it's Shield of Vengeance. It's good to use because it's going to blow up and do some extra damage for you. Bosses are dead. And now we're going to proceed to the last fight. So here's another, like, I think unnecessary risk we take. We could have killed the mobs before the boss. You know, there's two big centaurs here. But if you play it correctly, you can just skip those two mobs, you know, and just play in a smaller arena. So we're going to be doing that. It's risky. But at this point, I think, yeah, we're just going to take the risk. The tank wanted to test some pulls, and I'm okay with that, you know. But still, I think the lesson of restraint in this place was good, you know. When I said just pull smaller, I think the tank took the hint and started to play a bit safer. Although this last part is not too safe, but we know how to do it. You have to use that little rock behind me to do this boss on an efficient manner. I was going to pull it here. We're going to be very careful to not pull those big centers that are still there. You're gonna see here that I get a bit nervous at the end, you know. I'm just playing so carefully, like walking on eggshells. Start, we are just going to do our rotation. We get a lucky Call to Chaos proc on our opener. That's always good to see. And you're gonna see that we're going to use the rock. Someone goes behind it. The boss just hits the rock and doesn't go any further. We can keep doing effective damage on it. On this part, there's nothing of notice. Just don't overlap those little circles. I'm going to use my weapon while I can before the next phase, because the next phase has a bunch of swirlies on the ground, which makes it very dangerous to use your weapon. You can just get killed. We do reach this fight with like 1 B-res, so we have some room for mistakes. Luckily, we face the boss before he hits our teammate again. And now the Demon Hunter is going to show why Demon Hunters are the best spec of tank. He's going to use the silence on the mobs far away, and we have a ton of CC to just kill them here. We're gonna use blinds, stuns, kicks, everything we can to just stop these mobs from casting, because they do a ton of damage. If you're doing this boss on tyrannical keys, you know, yeah, you're gonna take a ton of damage if that thing is cast. This is fortified. They still do a lot, but if one were to go out, I think we would have survived the hit. Anyways, the second phase of the boss, there's a ton of swirlies. Our weapon is enough 50-second cooldown, so we're gonna try to use it sometime, I guess, because there's so many swirlies sometimes that it's hard to use. We're gonna use the stone again. Everyone gets pulled to the boss mechanic and just moves away. Now I'm going to try to like go away from the rock so we can keep using it. The boss is going to do a frontal, and then it's going to spawn crap under us. This thing. So we're gonna put the crap away from the rock so we can keep like using it for the mechanic. We res the healer there. He's smart. He doesn't take it right away. He waits for the swirlies to go out so he doesn't insta-die the second time. Boss is almost dead here. It's like 28, 27. I go behind the rock. We get pulled. Demon Hunter uses darkness. Everyone doesn't take any damage. We just use our cooldowns back. I have my weapon, but using it is kind of a risky move, you know. We don't want to die. We take a ton of damage from that little swirly on the ground, so we just use a lay on hands. Just keep surviving, you know, like live. You have 1.5 minutes on this fight. I don't remember if I used my weapon here. I think I used it sometime in the end. We're gonna get pulled again. Use the little rock. That rock is so useful. And the boss is dead. Yeah, I didn't use the weapon at the end. I didn't want to die here, you know? And yeah, that's the key. We did a pretty decent 570k overall in this place, and while it's not incredibly high, I think it's pretty respectable because, well, we got most of it because people were kind of dying around us, you know? But still, I think it's pretty okay. And well guys, that's going to be the end of the video. I really enjoy doing these like full commentary runs to tell you guys my insights and what I'm thinking when I'm doing the dungeons. And well, I think this key was in particular like a bit more interesting because of that like lesson in restraint. You know, you can turn what can be like a disaster key into a timed key, but just telling the tank, you know, maybe just chill out. You know, we have a lot of time, we have the damage, just pull smaller and we're going to get this time. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone.